In this video, I'm going to be talking all about the sun signs. So this is a very brief overview of each sign. This is part one of part two. And this is for, anyone who's interested, but especially those who have very little knowledge of astrology and are wanting to build their skills. So sun signs are the most known thing in our chart, in my opinion, because even if you don't know anything about astrology, most of us know what our sun sign is. So the sun sign is how our soul wants to be expressed in this lifetime. It also represents our ego, our motivations, our vitality, and our essence. We can see a lot of our personality in the sun sign, but keep in mind that this is just one part of our personality and it may not make up all of it. So some people may strongly resonate with their sun signs and others might be like, well, maybe not. And that really depends on a whole bunch of other things in the chart. So we would want to look at the rising sign, the moon sign, the Mercury, the Mars, and the Venus. This to me makes up a full personality profile, as I like to call it. But we'd also want to look at particular aspects if we were diving in a bit deeper, because these aspects within the chart can also add another layer to that person's personality, or even bring out a certain tendency. If they're very blunt or very honest or very sensitive, we might even see that again in an aspect as well as their zodiac sign. We can also look to the sun sign to understand our highest expression in this lifetime, as well as the lower expression that we might struggle with. So of course we're going to fluctuate between all of these because none of us are perfect and we are on this journey to learn. But I think it's really useful to understand your highest expression in this lifetime, and then what the lower expression is, so you know when it's coming out and you know how to manage it, navigate it. So the other thing that we can look to when we look at our sun sign is how we will feel revitalized in this lifetime. So what are the qualities, the tendencies, the things that we need to feel really good, and ultimately in alignment with our true self. So in simple terms, our sun sign is our identity in many ways. So before I dive into the signs, I want to go over a few other aspects that we can talk about when we talk about zodiac signs and energies. And those are the elements, the polarity, and the modality. So the element talks about earth, water, fire, and air. And these are certain qualities and motivations that we can see in each sign. So earth signs tend to be practical, reliable, very concerned with tangible resources. Water signs tend to be very emotional and intuitive, maybe sensitive. Fire signs tend to be very driven, ambitious, motivated, and are very good leaders. And then air signs are known to be very intellectual and logical. And that's not to say that some of these other elements can't be bosses or sensitive or whatever, but that's just generally speaking if we want to categorize each one. The next thing we can look at in each sign is the polarity. And this is talking about whether the energy is masculine or feminine. And this is not gender specific. It's just about the energy. So air and fire signs are masculine and earth and water signs are feminine. So when I say masculine energy tends to be positive and focuses its energy outward and upward with more self-expression. Whereas feminine energy, which is the earth and water signs, tend to be negative and focuses its energy inward and downward and are more receptive. Again, it doesn't mean negative as in bad and positive as in good. It's just the movement of the energy. So to briefly just summarize that, air and fire are masculine, earth and water are feminine. The other component we can look at is the modality. And the modality can be reflected in the seasons. So depending on the time of year that someone was born, we can categorize them into cardinal, mutable, or fixed. And this is the way that these certain qualities and motivations that we talked about in the elements, this is the way they are actually expressed, if that makes sense. So signs born at the beginning of a season are called cardinal signs, as they are great initiators, but they tend to want to just move on and start the next thing. And this includes Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Then we have signs that are born in the middle of a season, and they are called fixed, as they are known to be stubborn and immovable at times, but this can be really great for, completing long tasks. And this includes Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And then we have signs born in the transition of seasons, and they are called mutable, as they are generally changeable, flexible, but they can also be inconsistent and scattered. And this includes Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So note how within each modality, there is a sign from each element. So in the modality of cardinal, there's fire, water, earth, air. In the modality of fixed, there's fire, water, earth, air, and so on and so on. So that is just those things briefly in a snippet. But just by knowing those things, you can look and see a lot about just one sign. You can determine, is this an earth sign? Is it masculine or feminine? And then, are they fixed, cardinal, and mutable? And you can get some very general ideas of the energy of that sign. So let's start with Aries. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. The element is fire, so this is a fire sign, and they rule the first house. The modality is cardinal, and the polarity is masculine. So that means the energy moves outward with self-expression and is positive. So Aries is very brave, bold. The symbolism in being, the first sign of the zodiac says a lot. They are leaders. They are courageous. They are brave. They do really well in leadership positions. They are known to be very honest. They are kind of the pioneers and kind of pave their own path. They are incredibly independent. So these are all the higher expressions of Aries. They're just brave, and they're not afraid to go after what they want. And they don't really stop if someone says no. They just make their own path. The lower expression of Aries can be arrogance, bluntness, pushiness, aggression, and even just being selfish, because that independent energy kind of goes to the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's selfish. So those are the tendencies to be careful of, that you're not relying on these lower energies, because that's going to cause more frustration in not only meeting your goals, but it's going to cause more interpersonal friction with others. So if you notice that you're leaning on these tendencies and you are an Aries, know that that's just part of, your sun sign, right? We all have those lower expressions. Just to become aware of when you are behaving in that way, and to reflect on, what needs are not perhaps being met, or are you in the right relationship? Are you in the right job? A lot of Aries do best working for themselves, especially, a North Node in Aries, or you have a lot of Aries energy in your chart. They just tend to do better like that, because they like to do things their way. They're usually pretty good at it, and they have such a vision that working for someone else can feel very stifling. And so I can see if someone was an Aries who, had the skills and abilities to work for themselves, yet they were working for a company, I could see how that could be constantly triggering and could lead to bluntness, aggression, arrogance, right? So just to reflect when those lower expressions are coming out, what needs are not being met. Because, Aries is supposed to be a leader in this lifetime. They're supposed to take charge. They're supposed to go for those higher positions, be their own boss. But they're also supposed to lead and inspire others. And you can't really do that with arrogance and aggression. So, Aries will feel most in alignment when they are calling the shots, making a new path for themselves, and ultimately leading others. The next sign is Taurus. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. The element is earth. So we have a very practical earth energy here. Taurus rules the second house. The modality is fixed, and the polarity is feminine. So that is negative energy moving inwards and is more receptive. So the higher expression of Taurus is common sense, steadiness, reliability, stability, follow through, persistence. They don't give up easy. They have a lot of mental tenacity. They're incredibly patient, and they're kind of known as the anchor of the zodiac. Because Taurus is ruled by Venus, we have to look at all those Venus-like things. So they love pleasure. So they like to indulge in all the five senses. But Taurus is also, a money sign, and they are known to be good with money. They are an earth sign after all, and they do need security in tangible forms. So the higher expressions of Taurus, are all those things I just mentioned, being good with their money, being able to indulge in the five senses, being reliable. The lower expression, that can come out a few different ways because they are a fixed sign, and they are patient. They can also be very, very stubborn. That is a big Taurus trait to look out for. They can be very resistant to change. They can take their love of indulging in the five senses to an extreme and as a result become lazy and procrastinate. So I'm not sure if anyone knows any Taurians like this, but I've seen Taurians on both ends. I've seen the higher expressions that are reliable, responsible, but then I've also seen those that are kind of on the opposite end, and they're nothing but, they procrastinate. People may view them as lazy. They, can't follow through. And that's the Taurus living in their lower expression. So again, if you notice that you have these traits, these lower expressions, know that you're not living to your highest potential, and that the highest potential is actually the opposite of those traits. So, for example, if you are a Taurus and you're indulging too much in food, for example, or spending money, you're supposed to indulge in those in this lifetime, but you're also supposed to be reliable, practical, responsible. And so know that you're going to the extreme and that you're going to have to rein it in a bit, but that you are supposed to enjoy those things in this lifetime. A big part of Taurus purpose, like the Taurian purpose in this lifetime, is to be a reliable base, not only for themselves, but for others as well. Again, you're supposed to enjoy life's luxuries in terms of material goods and indulgences, but within those reasonable limits. So Taurus will feel most in alignment when they have financial stability and they can provide for themselves as others, and when they can afford those luxuries they want. So, they can buy that, fancy vacation without having anxiety of how am I going to pay my next bill, that kind of thing. So, Taurus is one of those signs that without financial stability, they will struggle with self-worth, and anxiety as well. So just if you are Taurus and you feel like you are struggling with these things, know that you have to put in some of these higher expression traits. So, persistence, steadiness, patience. The reason Taurus can do so well and be so successful is because of those traits, because they don't expect a quick fix. They are willing to put in years of hard work to attain their goals. So keep that in mind if you are a Taurus. The next sign is Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. The element is air. They rule the third house, and the modality is mutable. The polarity is masculine, so that means positive, moving outwards with self-expression. So Gemini is a busybody. The higher expression of Gemini is being an excellent communicator and connector. They love variety, so they're constantly talking about new things, doing new things. They've just got so much going on. They're not boring. That's the opposite of a Gemini. They have a little knowledge about everything, and they're known to be the jack of all trades. They're constantly learning due to their deep curiosity of everything and everyone, and stimulating that need through any form of communication, from writing, learning, editing, blogging. For these reasons, Geminis are well suited to have a larger social group. They're well suited to do a lot more travel, even if it's just short distance within their neighborhoods. Exploring their surroundings is really, really important for Gemini to keep that intellectual desire fed. They can also be wonderful entertainers and keep the conversation going at parties and get togethers. So the higher expression of Gemini is all that. But I like the word connector for Gemini because they have information and they're really good at getting it to others. So in whatever form that may be, whether it's on social media or a YouTube channel or, blogging, editing, anything like that. The lower expression of Gemini, because they are such a mental energy and they need that stimulation, if they're not getting it in healthy ways, this can lead to gossip due to wanting to know everything. They can also, have that Peter Pan syndrome because Gemini is just constantly flitting from one thing to the next that they're hard to pin down. And so that's where the Peter Pan syndrome comes from, where they just want a little bit of everything and everyone. Gemini is known as the twins. And so a lower expression could be wanting two of everything, including people. Because their minds are so quick, they can come off distant and sort of ADHD like, and that they're not listening. So if you are a Gemini, before you diagnose yourself with ADHD, maybe listen to this because I can see this in a lot of the Geminis that I even know. So the lower expression in that busy mind is that, yeah, you might feel disconnected. You might feel, unheard if you are, in close relationship with a Gemini. If you are a Gemini, people might, make these complaints toward you. And, as a result of that busy mind, Geminis can forget appointments and forget events and just they can appear non-committal. And because they're not overly emotional, right? They're an air element. So they might seem distant at times because just they don't process emotions the way someone else does. They're very mental. So their minds are constantly going. So, if you find yourself in this go phase where people are making complaints or feeling unheard, know that you are in the lower expression, right? And, where are you getting your mental stimulation from? What can you do to enhance that? When's the last time you learned something new? When's the last time you taught something? Gemini is not only the learner, but they're one of the teachers too. So I think it's really important for Geminis to constantly be challenging their minds. So taking a course, I would recommend, maybe something quick, maybe not a 4-year degree or anything, but something quick. I would recommend teaching other people things. I would recommend getting out and about, go to new restaurants, go to new places, explore your community, feed that intellectual curiosity, because that is what you need to feel in alignment in this lifetime. Geminis also tend to be really excellent with technology. So maybe you're someone in the tech field. So utilize technology in healthy ways, such as starting a blog or sharing something through social media. If a Gemini lacks intellectual stimulation, they're going to be miserable. But this can also lead to that lower expression, such as like gossip and stuff. But it can also lead to, a nervous system kind of overload. And the reason is because that mind needs to be stimulated. And if it's not stimulated, it's going to create things to stimulate it. And that might look like anxiety, worry, spiraling, just very overwhelmed nervous system. So make sure you're constantly learning. If you're a Gemini, listen to podcasts, read articles, take a course, do what you can to find intellectually stimulating friends, and just never stop learning. That is the most important piece of information I could give you, is to constantly keep learning and growing, and then teaching that information, and that will keep you aligned. The next sign is Cancer. So Cancer is ruled by the moon. The element is water. They rule the 4th house. the modality is cardinal, and the polarity is feminine. So that is negative, moving inwards, and is more receptive. So now we're into a water sign. So very different than the other two energies we just talked about. So the higher expression of Cancer is, they are the best nurturers. They're incredibly sensitive and compassionate and empathetic. They are protective and require security, especially emotional security. And whether male or female or non-binary, the higher expression of Cancer is being a mother to all. They are highly intuitive. They can sense what you're feeling and respond appropriately. They, also create the coziest homes and meals and atmospheres because comfort is so important and vital to their well-being. So even if they work in a cubicle, by adding homey accents and comforting tones and decor, this can really help a Cancer feel safe and secure. The lower expression of Cancer is taking that mothering role too far and becoming controlling and very moody. So they can be happy one minute and angry the next. This might be due to the influence of the moon because they are ruled by it and the moon is so changeable. But if Cancer is not feeling emotionally safe and secure, this can also bring out their lower expressions. So another lower expression could be being overly sensitive and taking everything personal. This is something Cancer is going to need to work on. Cancer does need to learn how to accept constructive criticism and express their feelings in healthy ways, not crawl back into their shell. They are ruled by the crab. To learn how to express those feelings so they don't manifest as passive aggression, because that can definitely happen. If you are a Cancer and you revert to these lower expressions, I really encourage you to pay attention to where the moon is. Like, look at an astrology chart, look online to where the moon is, and honestly keep a moon journal and track, how do I feel when the moon is here? Because the moon changes very quickly, every few days. So track that and see, how do I behave when the moon is here versus in this sign? We could all benefit from tracking the moon, but especially Cancer. The other thing is, not feeling safe emotionally, right? So checking in with yourself, are you feeling vulnerable? Are you feeling exposed? And again, this is where Cancer on the lower expression can trap themselves a bit, because while they're feeling vulnerable and exposed, if they're not able to express that, the need can't be met. And so they're left feeling moody and irritable and unheard. And so that is their challenge in this lifetime, on some level anyways. So know that ignoring those feelings won't make it go away. Self-care, seeking emotional safety, and expressing feelings can be really helpful and healing for Cancer. In this lifetime, the highest expression of Cancer is to be a mother to all, to create comfortable environments for yourself and for others, and to be that feminine, nurturing energy that we all need. So by learning how to understand your emotions and manage them, you become stronger. So emotional stability is the highest expression of Cancer, and to love unconditionally and be there for others is where you truly shine. So while Taurus is all about having that financial, tangible stability, for Cancer, it's all about the emotional stability for sure. The next sign we have is Leo. So Leo is ruled by the sun. The element is fire. The modality is fixed, and they rule the 5th house. And the polarity is masculine. So this is positive energy moving outwards and with self-expression. So Leos are big energies. The higher expression of Leo is warmth, loving energy, generosity. They're very passionate. They're bold. They're natural leaders. They have this boss energy and mentality. They are the ultimate performer. They're very captivating and contagious, and they follow their hearts. So Leos typically are the life of the party. They can dazzle when center stage, and they actually love this. In this sense, they can receive compliments and admiration and are very, confident and creative. They're not afraid to kind of show off, if you will. But the higher expression is not only that they like to show off, but that they like to show off others. So the higher expression of Leo is giving compliments, being extremely generous with other people. They just make you feel good, right? I don't know if anyone knows any, really big Leo energies, but that's them at their highest. The lower expression, well, this love for admiration can go to the opposite end, where Leo steals all the attention. They boast, they become arrogant, and they can actually become jealous if others are receiving attention, because on some level they may feel like there's not enough attention for everyone. But the truth is, if someone is overly confident like that, they're usually overcompensating for insecurity. So this can cause Leos to lead with their ego instead of their heart. Because Leos like to be in the spotlight so much, they can sometimes forget to acknowledge others and monopolize situations. So similar to Aries in the sense, because Aries can forget about other people because they're just like me, my way, my way, my way. Leo's not about that. Leo's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? It's a little bit different, but still very similar energy. So they have to be careful, not to forget others and to not monopolize situations or conversations. And yes, they're known to be wonderful performers, but this can lead to kind of drama, right? So the drama king or the drama queen persona. They can also over exaggerate everything. And while this can be entertaining and funny in the higher expression, it can be exhausting and draining in the lower expression. So to balance this energy, Leo needs to learn humility. This is a big one for Leo. Leo needs to learn that other people's greatness does not take away from theirs. So it's okay to dance like no one is watching, but to not forget to let other people dance too. Leo is in alignment when they lead and follow from the heart, when they're not afraid to show their uniqueness, but when they also can acknowledge other people's uniqueness well. So lifting them up and boosting their confidence. So Leo can dazzle everyone with their personality and ultimately be an inspiration for others to follow their heart as well. So the more that Leo learns to celebrate others, the more that they will be celebrated as well, and then get that need that they require to feel aligned. The last sign for this video is Virgo. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, similar to Gemini. They both share that planet. The element is earth. The modality is mutable, and the polarity is feminine and negative, moving inward, and is more receptive. So Virgos are the perfectionists of the zodiac. They're highly impeccable. They're very detail oriented. They are incredible with organization and being able to, be very methodical and what's another word I'm looking for? Disciplined even in pursuing their goals. They thrive in routine and order. So they are wonderful secretaries. They're wonderful. They're wonderful in every area, really, because we always need someone organizing something, right? Whether it's organizing your kitchen or your dresser or the files at work, they have this gift of creating order out of chaos. So they can be great to work with as well. The higher expression of Virgo is being organized, right? Being organized, being efficient, getting the job done, and being service to others ultimately, right? Virgo has this deep need of being of service. Now, the lower frequency or expression of Virgo, that perfectionistic tendency can become like a little OCD, where it becomes extreme. So they can become hypercritical, not only of themselves, but others. So that can include you being very judgmental as well, very bossy, micromanaging. It can really be detrimental to their mental health because they can't measure up to their own expectations, nor can anyone else. So it's almost like this lose-lose situation where they're never satisfied. When Virgo's needs are not being met, it will come out in hypercritical tendencies, nitpicking, and micromanaging. Because they're ruled by Mercury, they can be sharp. so they can be kind of cutting with their words. So as a Virgo, if you notice yourself moving into these tendencies, check in with yourself about what needs are not being met. You know, because typically we project our own insecurities onto others. So if you're criticizing someone else to fix something or do something better, you know, where within yourself are you criticizing yourself, right? If you are just feeling irritable and needing everything to be perfectly organized, you know, what is lacking order within your life? And that could just be internally in your mental space. That can be, you know, maybe you feel like your exercise routine has been, you know, not going so well. And Virgos do rule, you know, oh, I forgot to mention, they rule the sixth house, which is all about health. And so Virgo's highest expression, they're looking after their bodies and you know, they're very health conscious and they're able to keep everything in order. But on that lower expression, maybe their health is falling apart, maybe their routine is falling apart, and that can cause Virgo to spiral. And when they don't have that routine and order, they will grasp at anything, and that often means trying to control others or being really hard on themselves. So that is something to note if you are a Virgo. But ultimately, Virgo, you are the helper of the zodiac. You see things that no one else sees, and that is your gift. But to be mindful of that critical, judgmental nature and to know that perfectionism doesn't actually exist. So that's what I have. I hope this was useful. I know it didn't cover everything, but if anyone wants to share some other things that I forgot to mention, feel free. And also know that this was just a very brief overview. I will do the next 6 signs the next time I get some time. I've also planned to go through probably the moon sign as well, because I think that's also really important, as well as the rising sign. But that is what I have for now, and stay tuned for some more videos.